Hello, and welcome to the fourth annual One Crucial Thing. My name is Todd Fetterman, and I'm the Managing Director of North Coast Ventures. For those of you not familiar with North Coast, we are made up of over 400 individual investors across 7 different investment funds. We've invested in nearly 70 startups, with most of them being early-stage, business-to-business, software-as-a-service ventures. Along the way, we've met a lot of interesting people, and we're pleased to have so many of them with us share one key insight or one crucial thing that drives business success. Our lineup includes CEOs, business leaders, and VCs from organizations of all sizes, from startups to publicly traded companies. The insights they share will address sales, marketing, leadership, and culture. Add them all up, and it's a masterclass to help drive startup and high-growth success. After our last presenter, we will email a survey link to all attendees so that you may vote for your favorite insight of the event. North Coast will donate $5,000 in the name of the winning presenter to the Angel Investor Foundation's Seed the Future campaign. This foundation is the charitable arm of the Angel Capital Association and was created to expand ACA's impact in the entrepreneurial ecosystem. The funds will be used to provide educational programs and data analysis for angels and entrepreneurs. It will also be used to strengthen syndication networks and create targeted programs for underserved communities to expand investment and business support. Before we get started, I'd like to take a moment to thank several organizations. First, Alvier, our sponsor for tonight's event. As you may know, Alvier is a North Coast Ventures portfolio company and is in the banking-as-a-service space. Alvier enables business partners to provide financial services such as mobile payments, card issuance, and payment processing to their customers. Alvier raised a $70 million round late last year and is experiencing rapid growth. I'd also like to thank North Coast Ventures' nearly 30 Innovation Council members. These companies and institutions are strong supporters of the startup ecosystem here in Northeast Ohio. We have representatives today from several of these organizations with us, and we're grateful for their continued support not only of North Coast, but of the startup community in general. Lastly, I'd like to take a moment to call attention to Cleveland Video Company, which delivers the final product for One Crucial Thing, and several months ago as well for the North Coast Ventures annual meeting. We appreciate their support and certainly couldn't do it without them. With that, let's get started.
Hi, my name is Natalie Smolenski, and I lead business development for Hyland Innovation. I came to Hyland through the acquisition of my startup, Learning Machine, which specialized in blockchain-anchored verifiable digital records. My one crucial thing is focus mastery. Focus mastery refers to your ability to manage your attention and energy. People with focus mastery know how to allocate their resources when they have to wear multiple hats and wherever there are many factors that determine success. As you probably know, there's no one weird trick that enables you to run a successful startup. As a startup leader, you're responsible for everything. That includes capitalization, hiring and retaining top talent, setting the tone for your company culture, addressing and resolving conflict, maintaining a rapid cadence of product development and delivery, knowing your niche, determining product market fit and go-to-market strategy, and closing the first customers and partners who validate the market viability of your solution. All of this means that you have zero spare time. Distractions must be eliminated in advance, and you are at real risk of burnout even if you do use your time effectively. Managing your focus and energy, therefore, must be your number one priority. You must know yourself well enough to understand what times of day you're most productive at what kinds of tasks, and build in rest and recovery times into both your days and your weeks. Much like a star athlete or performer, you can't be on all the time. But when you are on, you need to win. As a startup, you don't have much bandwidth not to. Preparation, execution, and rest. Managing this cadence is your primary responsibility as a leader. It is this personal executive function that enables you to execute with others toward a shared goal. Thank you so much for having me.
Hi, my name is Gupta. I am the founder and CEO of Bubble Insurance, and thank you, North Coast, for this opportunity. Getting a new venture off the ground is perhaps the toughest task of all. It's just you and perhaps one or two co-founders. To get to product market fit, you need to build both product and business at the same time, which requires lots of different skill sets. Most startups have these things in common: lots of great ideas and tons of passion, but not enough time, not enough resources, not all the skills, not enough capital, and priorities can change at the blink of an eye. So how do you build an initial core team that can translate your vision into reality of an MVP in a reasonable time frame? It's imperative that your core team be multifaceted, which is why my one crucial thing is to hire Swiss Army knives. As we know, the Swiss Army knife is not just a knife. It's not just a screwdriver or a scissor or a filer. It does it all. For example, the sales leader needs to be able to work with product and customers to translate needs into specs, as well as with partners to start building the network effect and be nimble enough to switch from B2C to B2B2C or even B2B if you happen to pivot. The product leader needs to be savvy enough to orchestrate things across engineering, sales, marketing, and operations. And if you're a B2B2C play, that person better be well versed in both B2B and B2C. Engineering leader and their team have their work cut out for them. Back-end, front-end, web services, CRMs, data engineering, security, privacy, third-party integrations, and what have you. So as you build your initial startup team, don't just hire the best person for a specific skill set. Dive deeper to understand how many hats they can wear, what gaps can they fill, how eager are they to try new things, and how quick can they adjust to changes. I look for 3 personality traits to identify the Swiss Army knife DNA. Dealing with ambiguity, are they curious? Do they question the status quo and ask questions? Learning new things like picking up a new sport or language or art, and thriving amidst change. How do they deal with setbacks in their personal lives or job changes of their parents or reorganizations in their previous employer? So early stage startups need to build a team of Swiss Army knives. These are the people that will embrace and thrive in chaos, ambiguity, and change. They'll grow and evolve with you and become keepers and trusted wingmen for the future. Thank you.
Hi, my name is David Sylvan, and my one crucial thing is the critical importance of coachability. What I mean by that is the evidence of listening, not just hearing, that we as investors need to identify when we provide strategic or tactical counsel to startup founders and operational teams, especially as they look to source early stage funding. Why is this important? First, most, if not all, funding platforms are now oversubscribed. So if you've got to the point of pitching, well done, but it's more important to secure the follow-on conversation. It's during those next step interactions that funders or perhaps proof of concept or pilot site stakeholders need to see evidence that constructive feedback is reflected back to them in either the form of pitch material adjustments or modifications or product or process tweaks, or at least the intentionality towards those modifications. I'm not talking about material or major shifts. I mean those nuances to the offering materials or the offering that signal continual improvement. Why is this important? Secondly, if that evidence of coachability isn't evident, or efforts towards manifestations of these minor pivots aren't called out, then the startup really begins to run the risk of losing their audience who might well consider moving on. As investors, we have very short memory spans. We don't have the fortitude and the tenacity of founders for whom we have mad respect. And so it becomes easier for us to merely relegate the so-called uncoachable down the priority list, or even worse, to the back burner. You might be asking if this is just counsel for first-time founders or startup leaders. Absolutely not. In fact, it is often the frequent flyers who we as investors covet who might run the risk of hubris, believing that they've got it down and don't need to place as much importance on coaching compared to their first-time peers. It's tough to hear that you might not have the perfect solution out of the gate, especially when it's a labor of love, which startups invariably are. Fortunately, founders usually don't have the fragile egos of all of us investors. So listen with vulnerability and change the world.
Hi, I'm Victor Gutwein, and my one crucial thing is that founders should be gathering as much advice as they can, but they shouldn't take most of it. And what I mean by that is that as a founder, you're going to be going out there and getting advice throughout your entire early career. as you're building your company. People are going to be telling you what to do, when to do it, what worked for them, how they built their business, or how they experienced a certain problem, and they're going to be applying that to your situation. Now, I think that's all really good, and it's really well-intentioned, but you have to understand what's going to work well for your business at your point in time and in your context. And I think that's the hard part of a founder is we have all these really smart people that are well-intentioned that are giving us the right thing to do, but we have to digest that. We have to filter that. We have to see why are they saying it and what makes sense for my situation. One quick example is when I was starting my venture capital firm at the age of 23 in 2015, I was given a lot of advice that I'm really glad I didn't take. Imagine being a young person in a career that's dominated by older people. I was told to do something else. I was told to pursue it in a different way, to go for a different strategy, that it would never work. And of course, that was relatively smart for them. There's maybe what would have happened in their shoes, but I had to take what I knew I could do and take that and synthesize it. Why are they telling me that? And I do feel like I learned from it and was able to maybe build a company and firm that was able to respond to some of those challenges. But it wasn't something that I zigged every time they told me to zig and zagged every time they told me to zag. And that's what a founder needs to do. They need to have some concrete determination to go in a certain direction, to be hearing different things, getting feedback, but really being careful as to what they're applying and not just being flimsy with every point of feedback they get. So that's my one crucial thing, and I wish you guys the absolute best. Thanks for having me.
Hi, my name is Tonjia, and my one crucial thing is being authentic. See, I've learned that there is something like a 1 in 400 billion chance of you being you and brought into this world. And that means you are so unique, and you were brought here to be that puzzle piece, exactly what we need to continue to complete the picture of humanity. You bring unique gifts that we all need to be able to move ourselves forward. However, when we spend so much time patterning ourselves or over someone else's patterns and their own being, thinking that we're not good enough, that wonderful, brilliant, unique person that we were born to be is not good enough, then we are not completing what we were brought here to complete. We're not living in soul alignment. We're not using our soul's purpose, and we lose our passion for things. And so I've found that it's so important in order to be successful just to be you. But before you can be you, a lot of times we have to figure out who we are, and that's the hard part. Who am I? Who are you? And that's ever changing and ever evolving. So really spending time figuring that out and then maximizing that will bring forth the light that you were meant to bring to this world, to shine and be brilliant and illuminate every dark space, whether it's minds or hearts. You are the light that is meant to shine. See, energy is finite. We only have 100% of it. And so if you spend 50% of your energy being someone else, you only have 50% left for you. However, if you spend 100% of your energy being you, you have 100% to pour back into yourself. So that's my secret. That's my one crucial thing. Thank you so much for having me today. Bye-bye.
AI is probably the most important thing humanity has ever worked on. I think of it as something more profound than electricity or fire. Sundar Pichai, CEO, Alphabet and Google. Hi, I'm Paul Roetzer, founder and CEO of Marketing AI Institute. And my one crucial thing is to build a next-gen business now. Next-gen businesses do 3 things that differentiate them from the competition. 1, drive efficiency, revenue growth, and profits that stakeholders and investors demand. 2, deliver the personalization and experiences consumers expect. And 3, unlock previously unimaginable creative possibilities. How do they do it? By building smarter businesses powered by artificial intelligence. AI is forecasted to have trillions of dollars of impact on businesses and the economy, yet most business leaders and entrepreneurs struggle to understand what it is and how to apply it to their companies. Demis Hassabis, co-founder and CEO of Google DeepMind, defines AI as the science of making machines smart, which in turn augments human knowledge and capabilities. With AI, businesses are able to reduce costs by intelligently automating data-driven tasks and accelerate revenue by improving their ability to make predictions at scale. AI may seem like a futuristic concept, but you use it dozens, if not hundreds of times every day, and you probably don't even know it. YouTube recommends videos, Gmail finishes your sentences, Facebook targets you with ads, Spotify learns the music you love, Alexa and Siri answer your questions, and Amazon predicts your next purchases. You don't care that AI powers these experiences, but you do appreciate the convenience and personalization. Put simply, your life is AI assisted and your business will be too. Now is the time to evolve your knowledge and skills, and now is the time to build a next-gen business. Thanks for having me today. Stay curious and explore AI.
Hi, I'm Carmen Fontana, Director of Operations at Augment Therapy, and my one crucial thing is set your to-do list on fire. Startup life is a grind. You're going here, there, everywhere, putting out fires. And you get to the end of the day and you're like, what the heck just happened? I didn't accomplish anything. And gosh, I'm so tired. So my recommendation is set your traditional to-do list on fire and try a different approach. So first, I want you to take all those burning fires and write them down. Review the list and pick one, just one, I know it's hard, one thing that you're going to put the fire out on today. That's your most urgent thing from the burning fire list. Next category you're going to create a to-do from is your slow simmer. These are tasks that are important for your long-term vision for your company, but they're not urgent. What is something that you can do today that will help fulfill your long-term mission? So that's the number 2 thing that's going to go on your to-do list. So right now we have something urgent and we have something important. And then the third category that's going to go on your to-do list for today is what I call spark your soul. This is something that gets you excited, motivated, refreshed. For me, a lot of times that's a midday run or walk in a local park. So now you've got 3 things on your to-do list: a burning fire, a slow simmer, and something that's going to set your soul on fire. Finish those 3? Awesome. Pick 3 more, 1 from each category. Repeat until you get to the end of the day. And I promise with this strategy, you're going to feel more accomplished, more at peace, and more motivated for tomorrow.
Hi, my name is Kris. I'm the president and CEO of OhioX. My one crucial thing is the key to building Ohio's tech hub. Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati. Our 3 C's. They're unique, they're different, and they're spread out. It's what makes Ohio special. We have 88 counties. There's something happening every single place. In Cleveland, it's the Browns and Nick Chubb. In Cincinnati, it's Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Those rivalries, it's what makes Ohio so special. It's what makes it so fun to live here. But when people talk about Silicon Valley, they're talking about a region. They're not talking about one single city. They're talking about Berkeley, they're talking about Stanford, they're talking about San Francisco, they're talking about Mountain View. And that entire region, if you were to drive it, make a big old loop, it would take you about 2 hours, over 100 miles. And that's not even factoring in California gas prices or California traffic. So, in my opinion, the key for Ohio to realize their success is not to think of the Cleveland Tech Hub, the Columbus Tech Hub, a Cincinnati Tech Hub. It's an Ohio Tech Hub. It's the Silicon Heartland. And while our cities, our sports rivalries, some of the food we like, they are unique and different and special. What's really cool is our industries are so incredibly similar. We have insurance, we have financial services, we have healthcare, we have manufacturing. And those are just a few examples. No matter where you go in Ohio, you're going to find world-class companies and organizations operating in sectors and industries just like that. So if you're building a fintech, an insurtech, a health tech, a biotech startup, don't think of your community, your city as just that, one single city. You have an entire state. It's all of Ohio that's your partner and champion, and it's your opportunity. Competition, it's a good thing. It pushes us to do better, it pushes us to go further, it pushes us to try bigger and bolder things. I hope our cities continue to inspire each other and frankly compete. It's good for the state to continue pushing like that. But our real opportunity comes when we connect our state to increase these opportunities. It's what we're doing every single day at OhioX, and I believe it's the one crucial thing for us to realize our tech hub potential. Thank you.
I'm Guy from Hyde Park Venture Partners. Thanks for spending a minute with me. One crucial thing to consider in your pursuit of leadership and success is to listen. What we've seen in our most successful portfolio companies and the founders and CEOs who run them is that the more senior you are, the more time you spend listening, asking questions, and understanding and collecting information from other people. We've seen that the best CEOs listen to their customers, their employees, their teammates, their investors, their board members. They spend a lot more time listening and aggregating and distilling information than they do talking. Listening is a huge piece of success.
Hi, my name is Faris. I'm the one of the co-founders and CEO of Vytalize Health. Vytalize partners with primary care doctors to help them transition to value-based healthcare. The one crucial thing, I think, for being a successful startup and pushing through all of the hardships that you have to go through is having the right people around you that can support you, support your vision, and make sure that you're able to withstand all the trouble that you're going to go through. As a founder, you're going to have it yourself. You're going to have the faith and the belief that you're going to be, that this is going to be worth something to put up with all the difficulties you're going to go through. I think you have to be lucky as well. But I think it's really important that you have the right support system, whether that's employees, partners, investors, friends, family that can really support you. It's very difficult to go at it on your own, and you need kind of all the help you can get. So in general, I think starting a company and running it is difficult. So be open, share your concerns, share the things that you need help with. And I think make sure you're surrounded by a support system inside the company and outside for you personally that can help you withstand the trouble. Because if it's a good business idea, if you're smart, if you're executing, you're working hard, and you've got the right system to let you go through the process that you need to go through to get to the other side of success, I think you increase your chances of success significantly. So surround yourself with the right team members, be open, delegate, trust, really share what you have, be willing to share the upside, all of that with people around you so that you can build a real team and support system to help you be successful. That's been my experience. I'm really grateful for the people I have around me and have had over the years, and wish the same for you. Thanks for listening.
I'm Maryam Haque. I'm the Executive Director of Venture Forward. My one crucial thing is the importance of inclusion. The term inclusion gets tossed around a lot, but what do I mean by inclusion? Well, Venture Forward defines it in our VC Human Capital survey. We define inclusion as the actions you and your startup take to understand, embrace, and leverage the unique strengths and facets of identity for all individuals so that everyone feels welcomed, valued, and supported. Inclusion goes beyond representation. It's simply thinking about the demographic diversity. Whether a company is inclusive often depends on its culture and the behavior of its leaders. And that's in addition to any specific talent policies or programs you might have. So why does inclusion matter? Well, talent is what makes or breaks an organization. A lot of importance is typically placed on recruiting and hiring talent, but prioritizing inclusivity and having a plan in place to develop talent, retain talent, and think about promotional opportunities where inclusivity is prioritized is really critical for your startup, regardless of where you are in your growth. This is especially true today when there's a war on talent across the ecosystem. There's no silver bullet when it comes to inclusion, and it's hard to take a cookie cutter approach from other organizations. So as a leader, you'll want to think about and learn from others, but also build and adapt what suits your startup best. Some questions to consider. Do team members feel that their voice is being heard? Do they feel supported? Do they have an opportunity to succeed and grow within the organization? Are they treated and compensated fairly? Again, these are questions you should consider as a leader about how you want to build your company culture and adopt practices from the foundation of your company from its earliest stages to really being in a strong position as you grow and scale. Thank you for your time.
Hello, my name is Michael Sirpilla, and I'm the CEO of Society Brands. And the one crucial thing that I would suggest for founders to have success in their business is leverage. The word is leverage. Now, when we think of leverage, we oftentimes think of raising other people's capital or using other people's money to grow our business. And of course, that's important to raise money for your business. But when I think of leverage, I actually don't think of capital. I think of leveraging a team and having strong co-founders and team members on board with you. You cannot have success in business by yourself. If you want to get at scale, if you want to really grow something that's phenomenal and special, you're not going to be able to do it yourself. I think of a small business owner, you've probably heard this phrase before, that if you want to do something right, you got to do it yourself. I fundamentally disagree with that. I think that you need to be super honest with yourself as a founder and an entrepreneur to say, here are the things that I'm good at. Here's the things that I'm not good at. The things that I'm not good at, I'm going to put a team around me to help complement so the business can get what it really needs, which is a well-rounded company that has success in various different areas. When we started Society Brands, I knew the areas that I was strong at, and I also knew what we needed. We needed a lot of strong e-commerce expertise. We also needed a ton of M&A expertise. And I'm so blessed and so grateful for the incredible team that we have around us here at Society Brands today. So if there's one thing that I know could be super helpful for any founders or entrepreneurs out there in order to take your business to the next level, is to leverage an incredible team and bring a lot of strong people around you. So that is my one crucial thing.
Hi everyone, my name is Adam Sterling, Executive Director of the Berkeley Center for Law and Business and one of the founders of VC University. My one crucial thing is to make sure that there are no brown M&Ms in your dressing room. Let me explain. The band Van Halen is famous for many things, big hair, loud concerts. They're also infamous for many things. And one of the stories about Van Halen was that in their agreements, their contracts with the venues where they played their concerts, they had a provision in there that said there had to be a bowl of M&Ms in their dressing room and that all of the brown M&Ms had to be removed. Now, this story became told as an example of the band's excess, that they were divas, but it was actually quite brilliant why they did this. Now, Van Halen had a very complicated and very dangerous concert with pyrotechnics, fire on stage, and they were always concerned that the venue didn't take their safety requirements seriously. So a really smart manager had this idea to include this provision about the brown M&Ms in their contracts. So they didn't have to, when they got there, go through every step of the contract. They just had to go to the dressing room, and if they saw that there was no bowl of M&Ms with the brown ones removed, that they had to double check everything because the concert venue didn't read the contract carefully. Otherwise, they would have known about the brown M&Ms. Now, how does this impact you and your startup? If you're raising money, you're going to negotiate a term sheet. And as part of that term sheet, you're going to negotiate an amount that the investor is investing. This is important. If you're raising $5 million, ultimately you're expecting a $5 million check or wire from your investor. But when all is said and done, after the lawyers have drawn up the docs, everything's been signed, the amount that's wired to you is actually not going to be that $5 million. It should be $5 million and some change, maybe $5 million and 23 cents. And if it isn't that, if it's just $5 million, you need to double check that everything was done correctly. So why should it be $5 million and 23 cents or 48 cents? Well, when you're doing all of the math, in almost all cases, you're going to be issuing fractional shares to your investor. So for 5 million, that might buy 2,500,600 shares. But in the world of venture, we don't issue fractional shares. So the practice is to round up to the nearest whole share. But the investor has to pay for that rounding. Otherwise, it can create accounting problems down the road. So if your lawyers don't ask for that wire to be that weird amount, you know something's up. That's your Brown M&N moment and a good opportunity to dig deeper. Thanks for having me.
Hi, I'm Kris Snyder, founder and managing partner at Impact Architects, a growth advisory firm. And my one crucial thing is high trust relationships. It's been about 20 years ago when I first read Patrick Lencioni's 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. And for those of you that are not familiar, it's really a mental model on how we think about healthy, high-performing teams. At the base of the model is trust. And this really began my journey to think about how do we communicate trust, and quite honestly, even how do we measure trust inside these teams and inside of our relationships themselves? Well, over time, I've really studied this and found a couple different ways, but my favorite is looking at it through 3 lenses. And that comes down to character, competency, and connection. Character is really binary in its nature. It's either you trust the person or you don't. So we think about that kind of as 0-1. And when it comes to character, it's probably because they did something that caused you to stop actually trusting them. When we go to competency, we really think about this as the person's ability to live up to their agreements and all the facets of the relationship itself. We often would give this a number. And let's do something like 90. So you have a high level of trust inside their competency itself. And then finally, connectivity. And this is the one that we've seen lots of challenges in the pandemic. But we think about 3 different layers of connectivity. The first one is how deep do you actually go with the person? How much beyond sports, news, and weather do you actually share? And then we think about how frequently you get together, right? What's the pace of that? And then finally, we like to think about it as the actual duration or the amount of time that you spend with this person. So in the pandemic, one of the things we saw is a very much a downgrade in this area of connectivity. So in our math, let's just go ahead and use that as a 50, and we'll put it as a percentage. So I've got a character of 1, I've got a competency of 90, and I've actually got a 50 on the connectivity side, so we don't feel really connected to each other right now. And that gives me a score of 45. Well, obviously it's a disappointing score. We can actually quickly see where the issue is, and that's really what's important. It's not about the math itself, it's about the direction of the conversation, the framework in which to have that conversation. So I'm Kris Snyder. My one crucial thing is trust, high trust relationships. Thank you.
Welcome everyone. I am Nancy Tinsley, a healthcare innovation advisor and a health system executive. My one crucial thing is to align your technology solution with strategic priorities. Within all industries, especially healthcare, there are many and significant problems to solve. Some are much more important than others. Some will get the attention of decision makers and others will be seen as a distraction. You are competing for scarce and valuable resources, not just financial, but the leader's time and attention and that of their team. In order to get and retain the attention of decision makers and influencers, demonstrate clear knowledge of how to align your tech solution with the organization's priorities. To identify these, have focused conversations with leaders, be familiar with industry trends, and organizations that design and influence the industry direction. Learn and understand the impact of your tech solution on revenue, quality, safety, regulatory standards, and other metrics. In doing so, have great knowledge regarding the key details of how the industry works and the depth of the problem. Be careful not to skim it. Be familiar with the workflow of the process your technology is solving. Research it, analyze it, observe it, work it, interview it, obsess it. Your goal is to know more about it than the decision makers. Industry leaders are interested in tech solutions that support the entire workflow, not simply a problem or two. Be able to demonstrate the ability to iterate through the entire workflow and align with organizational goals. Your expertise in this alignment will help build trusting relationships with decision makers. Remember, message this alignment in the first 2 minutes of your pitch. knowing that you only have one time to demonstrate value with your first pitch. I am wishing you great success in aligning your technology solution with strategic priorities. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Christopher Mirabile, and my one crucial thing I want to talk about today is the accredited investor definition. This is the definition around sophistication, which determines whether or not an angel can participate in an exempt deal. It's a crucial part of ensuring the angel population. And a lot of people don't realize that the SEC is now required, since the passage of the Dodd-Frank bill, to look at the thresholds, the accredited investor definition, every 4 years. It has not been changed since it was created in 1980, except for one change where they decided to exclude the value of your home in the calculation. That simple change alone knocked the number of accredited households from 9% of the United States down to 7%. A change to significantly up the income or wealth requirements could have a massive negative impact on the number of angels who qualify and on the amount of capital available for startups in our various communities. And in particular, it could have a magnified effect away from the coasts in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, and presumably will have a bigger impact on diverse founders, since income disqualifications would significantly impact the diversity of the angel base. So I encourage everyone to pay attention to the accredited investor definition, and if the SEC makes a proposal to raise the thresholds, be sure to comment on it, call your congresspeople, and do what you can to make sure that angels don't become an endangered species. Thanks very much for your time. Best of luck with your ventures.
Hello, my name is Erik Michielsen, and I'm the founder of Capture Your Flag. Thank you to Todd and the North Coast Ventures team for hosting this event. My one crucial thing is to own your strengths and invest your gaps. On your entrepreneurial journey, you will encounter milestones and hurdles as you grow and learn. Foundational to advancing your dream or product or organization will be to optimize where you put in your time. And having the self-awareness to understand where you need to focus and where potentially you can share or hand off focus is foundational. It's also immensely difficult. There is constant tension in what to own and what to hand off. I felt this as an entrepreneur, trying to balance honing a vision with executing that vision and putting systems and team members in place to manage operations and growth. It was so hard, but I learned so much. And what I learned is to put a positive frame on it and see gaps as investment opportunities to unlock potential in co-founders and the team as they take on greater roles in your company's story. It is a gift to have the ability to hand off crucial work and responsibilities to others who are currently or can soon be more capable than you to execute on them. Remember, a gift. And give yourself permission to hand over the reins on your gaps while you double down on others and learn from the experience, gathering insights and adapting work roles and priorities over time as you grow. Thank you.
Hey, my name is Ashland Stansbury. I'm the CEO and founder of Because Intelligence, and my one crucial thing is actually not working weekends. I know that's a little bit weird considering I'm a startup founder with less than 10 people on the team, and there is a lot to do and no amount of time that can ever get those things done. But my methodology is actually one that came from my own upbringing. I was raised by a multi-time entrepreneur father. He sat me down when I was about 7 years old and said, "I'm going to teach you what daddy does." He pulled out an easel and a permanent marker and he wrote the word entrepreneur. That was my really young exposure to the concept of entrepreneurship, the idea of working for your own dream rather than someone else's, and honestly, most importantly, allowing you to have the freedom and flexibility to really do your own thing and to be in control of your own fate and destiny, which in my childhood translated to my father being there for everything. He never missed a tennis match. He was always there for everything as a family, even though he was running multiple super stressful startups, had multiple exits within the software industry. And he didn't work weekends. He was always there with us, never missed a beat. And he always emphasized with me, if I were to start a company, which he's been advising since I was probably 5 years old, that I should not work weekends as well. So when it comes to recruiting talent, this is something that's really awesome to be able to get talent in the door and to show them that we're not trying to burn them out. We're trying to deliver awesome, high quality results during the week, reset, get that balance on the weekend, and then come back to work on Monday. So that's my one crucial thing. Thank you so much for having me, and I hope you guys take this tip home and apply it at your startup. Cheers.
Hey everybody, John Kniffick here. The one crucial thing I'd like to talk about is the concept of leading by example and the idea of putting into practice. So what I mean by putting in practice is an observation I've seen between musicians and athletes, two groups you would never really correlate with one another. But these two groups of people are interesting because musicians and athletes similarly have to put in thousands of hours of practice individually, and then be able to come together as a team and convert that practice, that muscle memory, that pattern recognition into an outcome in real time. And much like a performance or a game, when you're running a business, you have short windows of opportunity. Time passes and that's money, right? That's lost opportunity. So you need to be able to execute quickly and iterate and adapt. And I think for a leader, especially today in a fully hybrid and sort of remote work culture, not only being authentic, but leading by example, by showing that you roll up your sleeves, can do the work alongside the people you're leading, and have them carry that torch based on what they've seen you do, is one of the most effective ways. And it's certainly not the only way to lead, but there's no greater feeling than your whole team, including yourself, being fully dialed in on what you're building together, what you're selling together, what you're scaling together. And if you're able to do that work alongside your team in a personally scalable sort of way, that can be extremely powerful. Thank you.
Hi, David Beattie with Gangels here, talking about one crucial thing. To me, in running Gangels, that one crucial thing is taking ownership. And it's not just me taking ownership, it's building a culture within the organization and all the team members that everybody takes ownership for something that they're responsible for. People ask me why that's so important. It's important because it keeps the cost of running the organization low. It allows us to build trust with each other, that the team members who've said they're going to own a particular task or project or operational function will know that it gets done, and they will make sure that it gets done. Or if something goes wrong, or if they can't get it done, they're going to make sure that they get help and inform the people who need to be informed that there's going to be a particular issue. And that's one of the biggest things I've learned in running this business. Take ownership.
Roy Amara was a Stanford computer scientist who in the 1960s told colleagues something to the effect of, we overestimate the impact of technology in the short term and we underestimate the impact in the long term. And for this reason, that's often called Amara's Law. Hi everyone, I'm Paul Gray, hope all is going well. I wanted to share some perspective, advice, ideas, insights, and it's really all around this idea of progress and compound effects. So you might have learned that at some point in finance studies or banking or all of those sorts of basics, and I really think it stands true. When I think back to the beginning of my career, I remember often being a little worried, like I'd be interested in things or apply for things and see that I didn't have enough experience. And it felt very daunting to think, well, I'm never going to get that. It's going to take forever. And then, of course, time passes and things change, and you look back and you're like, wow, that was a lot of time that's gone through. So how do you do that? How do you make it work? Something I figured out early on was really sort of breaking out short-term goals and long-term goals. So having an idea of where you want to be in 2, 5, or 10 years is great. But then really breaking that down into, well, what do you need to do in the near term, on a yearly basis, on a quarterly basis, and really figuring out what planning and approach works for you. I've got friends that do vision boards. I've started making like an annual plan for myself, thinking about what it is I want to do in terms of education, careers, relationships, friendships, self. And you got to keep pushing and think about those long-term goals through short-term actions. So whatever it is that you're trying to do, whatever it is that you have in mind, think long-term, think short-term. All of those short-term actions compound and add up. They ladder up and they'll get you there. And sooner or later you'll look back and you'll realize, hey, all these things that I did really actually helped me get here. Keep doing that, keep refreshing, keep setting goals, and you'll achieve all those great things. All the best.
First-time entrepreneurs will at some point start wondering how VCs evaluate startups, especially as they become ready to raise their first institutional round. As an associate for a VC fund, I often get asked, what goes on behind the curtains? What are you really looking for in due diligence? Perhaps some components of due diligence are less clear and more obscure than others. One in particular is how early-stage investors like North Coast Ventures assess the management team. Of course, there are a number of questions and requests that you likely know and should expect. VCs will ask for your CV, track record, discuss your leadership and business skills, technical and industry experience, and perhaps even ask for your organizational chart and some references to call. But what is not known and expected by many is that evaluating teams doesn't quite start or stop there. The truth is, and as my one crucial thing for you today, management team due diligence begins at hello. The impression that you make to the fund partners will often be the most dominant factor in the decision-making process. This impression will often be a culmination of what you say and don't say, how you carry yourself, your past accomplishments and your future potential, but most importantly, the intangibles, your character, integrity, trustworthiness, and coachability. In many ways, partners are consciously or subconsciously asking themselves, can I trust this person with my children? Here are 3 takeaways that I'd like to leave with you. 1. We love a good substantive data-driven answer, but what we really appreciate is when you acknowledge that you don't have the answer, and even better, how you're going about finding the answers. 2. Brag about your customers, how much they love your product and how quickly you acquire them, but don't forget to brag about your failures as well. Tell us about the customer that churned, the one that ended up going with a competitor, and the employee that turned over. Tell us what these situations have taught you, what you learned and unlearned, and how you're adapting and pivoting as a result. 3. Please show us the rest of your team. We want to see that you have the right people around you, that you can let go, and that your leadership team members complement each other, together forming the ultimate manager. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jody Berg, and I am the CEO of Vytalize Corporation. Today, my critical thing I want to share is the power of personal purpose. Now, you've heard of companies with higher purpose. A company with a higher purpose will outperform companies that don't have a higher purpose. But what I found when I went back and got my PhD on this very topic, because it just intrigued me so much, was that personal purpose, if somebody has a personal purpose, if you know what's driving you, what gets you out of bed every day, what will help you overcome all obstacles in your way, what gets you to make decisions, the right decisions, because you know that that end game is what you're after. That's personal purpose. And when somebody has personal purpose, their level of engagement with their company is actually almost twice as high as if their company has a higher purpose. Their level of commitment to their company is high. But the third variable is that they have a level of life satisfaction that didn't even correlate with a company having a higher purpose. What does this mean? This means that as leaders, we can engage and bring out an intrinsic drive in all of our employees if we can help them identify their own personal purpose. Why do they get out of bed in the morning? What matters to them? Now, it doesn't mean you have to align their personal purpose specifically with your company purpose, but whatever job you have them doing, they need to see a runway, a connection to their job, how it drives them personally, what motivates them. And then by doing their job really well, that will drive company performance. But wait, there's more. Think about this. Us as leaders, we are driven by having a personal purpose and knowing what that is. If you don't know what your personal purpose is, step back. If you're working for a company and you realize there isn't an alignment between me and what I'm doing every day, think that through. You might want to make different decisions. But also think about this personal purpose of, if everyone in your organization understood what personal purpose was to them, they will have an unbelievable level of engagement that will get incredible things done. So my crucial thing, understand personal purpose and release the incredible power that it has for not only you, your company, but your employees.
Well, that was a terrific set of insights. Thanks to all our phenomenal presenters, not only for taking time out of their busy schedules to be with us today, but also for sharing their experiences and insights that help them get to where they are in business. For those of you who are in attendance today, you'll receive a follow-up email from us with several items. First, the post-event survey. This is your opportunity to vote for your favorite presenter and share feedback and recommendations for future events. We'll also share a recording of today's session. Please feel free to share that with friends or colleagues that might enjoy this type of content or like to know more about North Coast. Thanks again to Alviera for sponsoring One Crucial Thing, and thanks to all of you for tuning in. We hope you'll join us for some of our upcoming events later this year.